We're live.
Yeah,
Is this
we're
thing on? Hello.
Ding, ding, ding.
there's so many of us. There are more. There are more of us than normal.
There are there are more of us. What is up, Yap Squad, and also patrons of Star Wars Lawyers YouTube channel because we are streaming simultaneously on both places.
We
Um,
have the technology.
my name. Oh no, I can hear myself because I have the stream picked up. Okay, it's muted now. Anyway, my name is Brooke, and Kris and I have been doing reaction videos over on his YouTube channel of Skeleton Crew, and then Sawyer and I, who host the Yap Sesh podcast, along with our guest host Megs, we have been doing our recaps or re-yaps, as we like to call them, after each episode. And so we thought it would be fun to do a little collab and a little live stream to talk about the finale episode. And I'm really excited. And we have a very special guest. We have another Brooke.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Deception.
If you are a fan of Yap Sesh, we have had Brooke on before and she's wonderful. So I'm very excited to talk about everything in the Skeleton Crew. Okay, cool. So I took some notes during the episode, just in case we like get off track or don't have anything to talk about, which I'm sure we do. But I wanted to start by just talking about that the episode title is episode 8 is called The Real Good Guys. It was directed by John Watts, who is also the showrunner. And then it was written by Christopher Ford and John Watts, who wrote 6 of the 8 episodes, I believe. And the Disney Plus synopsis of this episode says a journey filled with adventure comes to a surprising end. So I guess we'll start with some non-spoiler thoughts. Although if you're watching this right now, I don't know why you're watching us, but just your initial thoughts, mostly spoiler-free, I guess. Anyone want to go first? What'd y'all think?
I loved it. I really did. I thought it was a very good culmination of everything that we had learned, and just very, like I said it on Twitter, it's very whimsical and fun, and I really loved it.
Whimsy is like my favorite word. I think whimsy is my word of 2025.
We used
Yes.
it so much in the beginning of the season 2.
We really did, yeah.
So
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Oh, I loved it. It was such a fun episode. It was the perfect finale. Billy and I were screaming at the TV, cheering. It was great.
I mean, it's just so heartwarming. It fills me with such 80s nostalgia, and I'm not even from the 80s.
Same. I mean, it gave me a lot of like Stranger Things vibes because that is also pulling from a lot of those 80s movies. Especially like this last finale gave me so much like E.T. vibes and like alien type, those kind of like sci-fi things from the 80s. So that was really cool. And yeah, Matt in the chat said John Watts, Spidey director, dude loves his coming of age adventures. So if you didn't know, John Watts was also the director of all 3 of the newest Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, which I am a notorious hater of until the 3rd one. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't know that. Neither did I.
I don't want to get off track too much, but Andrew Garfield is my favorite live action Spider-Man. Not my favorite movies, but my favorite Spidey.
I can understand that.
Peter Parker, played by Jake Johnson, is my favorite Spider-Man. A close second or third is Yuri Lowenthal from the video game. But anyway, they tied together. John Watts was able to tie together the 3rd movie to be like, oh, this is just a different way of showing Peter Parker's origin story. So anyway, but yes, roundabout way to say.
I would like to add that I am also a notorious hater of No Way Home. So,
Ooh, hot takes.
I knew that. I did know that.
I was not quiet about that. I walked out of that movie theater and went with like my brother and his friends and went on a 20-minute rant of like, this movie makes no sense.
Let's see. Oh, Sean in the chat said the speeder bike chase in the finale reminded me so much of E.T. Same.
Yeah.
And
It
the Return of the
absolutely
Jedi. John Watts Defense
Yes.
Club.
Welcome back, Indoor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brooke, do you have any initial thoughts about this episode or just the show as a whole?
I genuinely really enjoyed this last episode. I think they really stuck the landing, and I was genuinely blown away by it. Sometimes a few of the Star Wars shows have had a hard time like getting that landing, but I think that they absolutely nailed it, and I just didn't expect it to be as awesome and action-packed as it is. I had such a fun time. Like what Sawyer said, I was also screaming at the TV, and I was like sitting on the edge of my couch. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some stuff that was like genuinely surprising in
Mhm.
Yeah.
that episode. I want to highlight, I have in my notes that I want to highlight the score.
Oh my god.
of the
I literally was
show.
talking about that as soon as it ended. I was like checking Spotify. I was like, is it out yet, please?
Yeah. The show is scored by Mick Giacchino, who is it Michael Giacchino?
Mhm.
Yes.
Michael
Michael
Giacchino.
Giacchino's son. So he has done a lot of movies, including Rogue One and The Batman. He was also he also directed Werewolf by Night, which is one of my favorite like new MCU things. But anyway, his son is a director or is a composer now as well. He composed not only Skeleton Crew in 2024, but also the Penguin series.
Mhm.
Oh.
So that's cool. Like, you know what? Nepo baby go off because he did a great job.
He actually crushed it.
Yeah.
He's been
Yeah.
back to back.
I know, literally
Literally.
Penguin and Skeleton Crew. I wonder what his schedule was like at that time.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all know Xanthi, Star Wars Music Minute. They do podcasts analyzing Star Wars 5 minutes at a time, and so their sort of post Skeleton Crew has been talking about the music. They have a podcast called The Band Batch, and they're just going through the Rise of Skywalker, and they brought me on for the Finn parts because I'm me. And so we were doing the scene where Rey is going through the Death Star 2 wreckage. And so there is a hint of sort of this nautical sort of pirate ship kind of theme when she's on the water, and how Star Wars does treat space differently and water differently, and so do most so do most movie scores and TV scores. And I think this was like a perfect blend of those two because you have space pirates, and this is really the first time we really get to focus on them for more than just a few minutes to get blown up by Mando and Grogu.
Yeah. We talked about it in an earlier episode of our LawYap where, because like a lot of what they said before the show came out was that it's very Goonies inspired, very 80s like coming of age movie inspired. And one of the first things that I noticed as like a resident Goonies lover was the immediate nods to those movies that I could hear in the score. Just like those like high little like ding things that they did throughout the entire thing, that I was like, you understand what their source material kind of was in a way and their inspiration, and you really paid homage to that, which I loved. I thought that was so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will shout out I love watching Screen Crush on YouTube. They always do their like Easter egg videos and things that you might have missed. And they did talk about the score as well, and how like so many little things are like almost like parallel or like a mirror of stuff from the Goonies and other movies. So that was really cool. But I guess we should talk about the episode a little bit more. I mean, not that we haven't already been, but we open where we left off last week with Jod seemingly in front of the kids with the lightsaber ready to strike. I don't know what you all felt at the end of the last episode, but my initial thoughts were like, oh, he's totally gonna pretend to be a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you were
I
right.
wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was my first thought watching it. I was like, oh wait, we talked about this last week on the re-app of is he going to are the parents rather gonna assume that he's a hero? And they
Mhm.
did.
Messed up. Very adult thing to do, to be like, oh, I'll believe the other adult.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but see, my whole thing would have been, like you flash the lightsaber, cool. All right, I believe you. You activate that thing. My fight or flight's going into effect because you just like that's the equivalent of you just pulled out a gun and you cocked it. Like I don't know, man. Like y'all been a bit too comfortable on that adding for me.
They were so like chill about the fact that he had a lightsaber, and I understand that like they haven't grown up in a world where lightsabers are super common, but like they've heard about them. They obviously have stories because Wim had the whole like little clicker tablet where he
Mhm.
talked about it all the time. So like they obviously know what they are, and I would be a little bit more scared than they
See,
were.
It reminds me of Wicked because when they go to see the wizard and Elphaba is like, hears the wizard's voice and sees the metal hand. She's like, no, and Glinda's like, yes. And I was like, see, that's what women his dad should have been. They should have been no, and everybody else should have been yes.
But yeah, that's yeah, so they're like, okay, let's just John's cool. And then
Just kidding.
I am just like so floored that they looked at this like guy in like rags and a cool jacket, and they were like, ah, yes, the emissary who's like, do they have regular emissaries that come? I feel like they don't.
Well, so
White
they
man
tou-
confidence.
white man confidence. They touched on it a little bit where like towards the middle or the end of the episode, it was when they were talking to the supervisor where he basically was like, we haven't been visited in a very long time by an emissary, so it's probably been a very long time. So maybe I'm giving the adults the benefit of the doubt, even though I don't believe it, that because it had been so long, maybe they were like, okay, maybe this is the new trend. maybe this is like fine.
It was so
Oh, go ahead, Sawyer.
no, you're good.
It raises so many questions, especially with what happens next, right? With the supervisor saying, which I feel is the big twist of it, that they knew about Order 66, which means did the Empire, like, I can't think that she would have known about this place and not exploited it, right? So if he did he just keep sending like some of his, more inline cronies to go, say they're the Republican to bring it back? Or was he just like, nah, it's fine. I can't believe he would have done that. That's just money, a money printing facility to fund the military and the Death Star.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's how they funded the second Death Star.
I also took it that I don't know if anyone else knew about At-Aten, but I also don't think At-Aten knew about anybody else or what happened with the Jedi, and I took it as the computer might have had that information and was privy to all of that, but did not share that information widely.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp because I feel like if the adults had been privy to that information, then Wendell would have not let Wim have books about the Jedi being heroes.
Yeah.
Very
Because
true.
they also they emphasize how they're kind of stuck back in time, and it's not just the kids, it's everyone, it's the adults too. And so I think they were just trapped in this bubble, but the supervisor had access to that information. Hopefully you can't hear the sirens behind me, but the supervisor had access to that information, but there might have been a protocol that said, hey, don't share this with everybody else.
Yeah, it definitely felt like the supervisor had obviously much more information than everyone else in that room probably did.
And Jaw just took him out like it was nothing.
Literally the gasp I gasped. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Although I will say, it's like in our last re-app, I think I've mentioned it multiple times in our re-app. It reminded me so much of the Loki series, and this also reminds me of the Loki series. Sylvie just like straight up decapitates one of the robots, kind of like Jaw just did.
But that's under different context, I would say.
Yes, yes, yes. But the idea of this like all-powerful being is actually just like an AI is a little too real, and B, very like similar story, whatever.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, and I think I did say it to the reaction. He went to the Qui-Gon Jinn school of "I'ma just stab him." And I mean, maybe the Jedi that taught him knew Qui-Gon Jinn or knew Obi-Wan, because your focus determines your reality. I ain't heard no other Jedi say that but my man QGJ. So
It's true.
Yeah.
Did anyone see the reveal coming about who the supervisor was?
Yeah, I've been
We
saying
had
for a
talked about
while.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't fully caught up in all of the episodes. I'm so sorry.
No,
But I
it's
have
okay.
heard some of them and I have really enjoyed them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought the way the droids kind of reacted gave me like AI vibes and made me think of HAL 9000. And then at the last second, I thought it was like, wait, is this Wally?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We kept joking while we were watching it. We were like, what if it's just Snoke, like in that big box? What if he's just in
Oh
there and
my
it just opens? Like,
God.
Cass kept going, it's Snoke. It's Snoke. Watch it be Snoke.
I had that thought
Dennis would
for a
be so
split
angry.
second when it turned
Yeah.
around slowly. I
I was like, is this thing gonna open?
It's Snoke before he fought Luke, so he doesn't have the scar, so it's just young, sexy Snoke.
No.
No.
Hey, blame
Terrible.
Sawyer for that, because Sawyer introduced me to Snoups.
Guilty.
Terrible.
It gave me like Doctor Who vibes too, a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Very
I'm
much so.
thinking about that episode when 11 is like yelling at the big Dalek. You know what I'm talking
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
about? He's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. He convinces them to not attack them or something. I don't know, but it was like this big entity. It's been a while since I've watched.
Isn't that the season 7 one with all the Daleks and he like goes inside and there's like a bunch of them in the room and he's like switches everything up on them?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I think
And
that's
it's
right
the first episode of season 7. I know exactly which one you're talking
Thank
about.
you. I don't know why. Like, it's not similar, but it is similar. It gives me the same vibes.
Yeah.
Snoke visually pulled Wizard of Oz, and so did Skeleton Crew at the Supervisor. It is a
It's
very
true.
very Ozian type of thing.
We were talking about how it like I think someone said it in chat. I think Harith did. That it felt very imperial. Like they walked in the room and we went, "Uh-oh. This is not good." A little bit spooky.
I got I said this during the reaction, but I got a lot of the Last Jedi vibes in that last scene with the little
Mhm.
flares in the air and both Wim and Fern yelling out no, and then them working together. And I'm like, I have thoughts, but I'm not going to say them right now because I'm going to be happy right now and not sad.
Oh man.
But we did get I don't know if anyone has KOTOR 2. If you play in a modded version, you can go to a planet that's just droids, controlled by droids.
Oh.
Oh, that reminds me, if anyone hasn't played the game Stray, you should.
Oh my god, I love Stray.
Were you
Such a good
cat?
game. Such a
It's
good game.
so good. You get to play as a cat, and then all of the people on the planet are robots.
And you
Very-
can rub up against the robots, and then they have like a little heart on their computer face.
Yeah, I love
Aw.
this. I'm gonna tangent real quick, but I love that like the little cat things that you do come up later and are like actually useful, like scratching at stuff, and then
Mhm.
like you do it for fun. It's like, oh cool, I can scratch a rug because I'm a cat, but then you actually use it as like a game mechanic later on. Anyway,
Mhm.
My new, based on what Matt is saying, my new headcanon is that Wim was in the New Republic, a pilot station at Aden, and then he came for Lando's message, and he's in the Citizens Fleet. That is my headcanon. No one will take it from me.
I love it.
That's also my head now.
I
Yeah,
love it.
based on the way he was looking at everything, I was like, yeah.
It gave me like Hera in the Bad Batch, like just seeing the ships like whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, Jason can join them. We have like a Young Avengers in Star Wars now.
My God.
So we have Wim, we have
Jason.
Omega.
Jason.
Oh,
We
Omega will
have-
probably be big. Omega can be
Oh,
the
she'd be older.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she
Omega
can
would
be the
be
older
old.
leader. That's like, why am I stuck babysitting?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I was gonna say we got Ben Solo, but we know where that.
Well, no. He could be a part of the group, and then he split off.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
And then he.
Oh yeah,
You know.
Grogu. We got
Grogu.
Grogu. I got
Listen.
a new water bottle, and it's Grogu. It's got a little.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Got it.
cute.
wait, that's
Aw.
awesome.
Yeah, it's so cute.
My
I have
boy's
to say-
traumatized.
Neil is
You're
traumatized.
never leaving that behind again.
No.
Oh. Let's talk about. I have in my notes. The only thing I have about Neil is a G.
Oh yeah.
For
Crushed it.
Yeah.
so smart. He was like, ah, yes, remember at Akron, and I'm gonna bring out literally the big guns. And I was just like, you go, Neil. You
Yep.
go, little guy.
Billy called it immediately, but like he got thrown off his speeder, and Billy was like, "Oh, Neil knows where the guns are," and sure enough, that's exactly where that was going.
Love.
I like that like whole sequence of them attempting to like get the message out was almost like a full culmination of everything that they had learned, and it was like, okay, we all know that we can do this. It wasn't like a, oh my God, are they going to be able to do it? It was like, no, they know what they're doing now, and they can totally do it. And I love that.
Yeah, I loved all the little breadcrumbs we got in the first several episodes that all came to roost in the I just mixed two different metaphors there. All the chickens came home to roost. Breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs. The chickens followed the breadcrumbs and they came home to roost. There we go. Salvage.
Amazing. But yeah, I loved Neil in this episode. I loved that the kids I was gonna say each kid had their moment from what they learned. Including Wim using his stories. I
Aw.
thought that was so as we were watching it, I said on the reaction, like, this is so goofy, like so like 80s. I'm gonna distract this so someone else can come up behind and like totally not gonna notice. Like, it's so, I loved it so much. It was so good. And I love that all of the kids were able to play to their strengths
Mm-hmm.
in this episode.
I agree.
Maybe we didn't see it happen. And he was still
I was
in the
just saying.
tower, and the tower didn't go down.
And he
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
that
yeah.
little smirk of like, I know something you don't know. And I said, you do know something I don't know, and I don't know what it is.
There's 1,139 other vaults. The power's off. There could be other ships.
I do like. I would like to talk about Jod, because we finally got a little bit of backstory in this
Yeah.
episode about
Would have
him,
been a
and
fucking Jedi.
so it turns out that he was an orphan or homeless or something as a child, because he said something about like, I just didn't want to starve anymore, and was found by a Jedi, but only trained a little bit before they made the call for Order 66, and he had to watch his like master get killed in front of him. So I'm wondering, I'm feeling like he was found by a Jedi who was like on a mission and was never like brought back to the Jedi Temple like properly.
Yeah, I got the sense that was what was going on.
That he had gotten like a basic rundown, and that was it.
I thought it was post Order 66, and he got found.
Oh,
and
that's
they had
yeah.
no temple to take him to, and then the Inquisitorius found him and said,
That's possible too.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
also the vibe that I got, was that it was like a post 66. He had been found, and then they had to kind of like work with what they had, and that's why he never got like formally trained before they found them.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was there long enough, though, that he was able to get like more than just like a week's worth of training, because he brings up
sure.
attachments, he quotes Qui-Gon. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was at the temple for a short period of time. We don't know. Everybody could be right potentially. But I think it wasn't like, oh, he was just out in the field and then it immediately happened. Clearly he got some training. It was just minimal.
For sure.
Jod is proof that Jedi shouldn't train people until they're older. None of this younger stuff. Stop teaching kids just enough to get in trouble prior to teaching values. I don't know if I understand that comment.
I think
completely.
It's all contextual.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things you have Young Jedi Adventures, but that's really aimed for like really, really young viewers. I think it'd be nice to see, even if it's during the prequels, just getting like a year by year kind of novel of a Jedi being trained from, like, let's say like older young, like, you know, you could focus on younger youngling and then maybe skip a few years to older youngling, then Padawan, and just sort of see that, because we mostly see the Jedi by their failures.
Listen. Jude Law is a beautiful man, but he's holding on to that hair.
Yeah, you said earlier that these people just they saw this man show up in rags and they're like, yeah, he's the emissary. You saw that man show up in rags and said, smash.
Correct. Yes, I did. I said every guy in everything, not just Star Wars, but in everything, should have high-waisted pants, a flowy, slutty shirt, and a long jacket. You heard it here first. Just saying.
Bald now, Hollywood.
I can't.
It's okay to be bald. It's just not okay to lie. I want to put that on a t-shirt.
We said, we were like, when the lights all came on after the barrier went down, we were like, that's the most like fully lit we've seen Jod this entire show.
That man looked crazy.
He looked insane, dude. And I love Jude Law. Like, I love Jude Law, but I was like, what?
Yeah, I really loved Jod in this episode. And I think Harith made a comment earlier about he said he was glad that Jod's backstory was kind of kept vague. And that he didn't think it was necessary. I think after last week, I'm glad we got just enough, because last episode, we talked about this in our re-app. It felt like Jod yelling at the kids was like not necessarily a projection, but like he envied them for the childhood that they had that he never got. And like I could just tell that there was like more to it. And then in this episode, I feel like that was also seen, because we could see like genuine like regret of like, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I will if I have to, just because who he is. But you can definitely see that he's not just like this total cold-blooded killer, especially with the kids.
I personally think he wouldn't have killed the parents because he would not do what was done to him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because if he wanted to, as soon as Wendell, like he got them all, like, you just allowed the New Republic to come here. He could have just executed them, just flat out. But he didn't. He showed mercy. He's still holding on to some of those Jedi beliefs, whether he consciously knows it or not.
I think that Jod is just a survivor, and he just has this very
Jedi
very
survivor.
like minimal. Nice. Wow, nice callback. But he has this very skewed, very like minute focus of like, this is where it is, and so he's going to achieve that goal of surviving in that minimalistic way that he can see it, like his tunnel vision for it. And so he has his morals set on surviving, and so whatever he can do to survive is going to be fine within his morals. But yeah, there's certainly lines that he seemed to have drawn. Like, he did seem genuinely upset about KB potentially dying, which I do have a question. Did you all, well, first of all, I know the kind of show that I'm watching that I'm like, there's no way they're going to kill a child in this. Stranger Things, yes. In this show,
Mm.
they won't. But it looked to me like the ship landed well, and I was like, "Oh, I'm excited." And then everybody was crying.
Yeah.
It's like, did we see the same thing?
I think
Yes, I was interested by
Well-
Fern's reaction.
I think it's partly because they grew up in a planet that doesn't really have ships and stuff, and she might not have ever seen, like, they've probably been told about ships crashing and all of that stuff, but they've never seen it. So the way that it landed, especially because like they have landed the ship before and they've seen it land like nicely, she probably was like, oh my god, because if you look at where it landed, more smoke started coming up from where it landed. And so I think that is part of the reason why she was like, because we also were like, but it looks like it landed like somewhat okay. But then I was like looking and it
Kids are
definitely had the smoke. Yeah, they're kids.
Ventress.
Yeah,
I like
Brooke
the
and
I
were
do like
just
the Ventress comment
no explosion.
comparison. Yeah, I was like, there's no
Yeah,
explosion.
no, yeah.
Now, if we saw a little fire shit, I would be like, oh, R.I.P. Flags at
R.I.P. that.
a flags at half mast.
Yeah, I do love the Ventress comparison there. Because that is, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, Katrina said, being another example of an incomplete Jedi training due to a fallen master.
And she had a nice arc where she went from, gosh, she flip-flopped all over the place, especially if you read the book, from being like, I wouldn't consider it dark-sided in some of it. She's just, again, kind of more of a survivor perspective, and then sometimes where she was more aligned with the dark, and then at the end she's aligned with the light. So Jod might have something.
I
We'll
got the
see.
feeling the whole show that he, and they kind of turned my theory, like, because he went more in the bad guy direction, but like this whole show is like, oh, he's like the Jack Sparrow of space. Like you're not sure what he's gonna do. He's gonna do what's like what is beneficial to him over anything. But also, like, he might do some things that might be good here and there. So I could see them, if they continue with the show, if we get a second season or this in any capacity, because who knows in this day and age if we're getting more. But I think that they could do a lot with his character. So I'm glad that they didn't explicitly say or show that he was like killed off or whatever. Maybe arrested by the X-Wings. Who knows?
Would have been crazy. Would have been crazy work if instead of the X-Wings that came out, it was TIE fighters and the Chimera just appeared in the sky. And it's just Strawn's just like, nice.
Well, we did get what looked like the Tantive 4, so that was a nice little nod.
I was like,
I might be misremembering, but I recall that a lot of these, because this is considered a Mando spin-off, like Mandoverse spin-off show, and so a lot of these shows were supposed to interconnect in the one large movie, but now I'm confused because The Mandalorian was supposed to be a television series, then they switched it to The Mandalorian and Grogan, and it's going to be a movie, but I don't think that that's the culmination movie that they were talking about.
No.
So I recall that all of these are supposed to intersect somehow anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be in the New Republic movie, Heir to the Jedi, or whatever it's called.
Is that even still happening?
Yeah, that's the one. Dave
okay, yes, that one.
Doing.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah. As some people that negatively view Filoni call it Filoni-gasm.
Oh my god.
Dave did say that the Skeleton Crew, like some of the characters might pop up again in future projects soon. So it wouldn't surprise me if we definitely see more of them.
Yeah, we talked
about back.
I hope so. Listen, I would love like a good dad with like a bad dad, and then Din Djarin can be like, "This is how you are with kids. You suck. I'm gonna teach you the right way."
Headbutts him in the nose with his Beskar helmet. Just nope.
Yeah.
No.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I lost it. Oh no, I found it.
It's back.
We talked about a chance to assist them in the Mando film. I like that.
Oh,
I
that's
like
a good one.
that. I like that a lot because he probably has a lot of connections with people that they might want to be looking for.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is we talked about in other reaps is that it feels like this show could have been put anywhere on like the Star Wars timeline,
Mm-hmm.
but they specifically put it in this Mandoverse era for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I am glad that they didn't make these huge connections like Din Djarin shows up or Zeb shows up, although Zeb would have been cool, like in a little X-Wing. Like some sort of
Orlando
connection there.
Calrissian.
Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, my theory after the first episode, because here's the thing. Donald Glover was in Spider-Man Homecoming, and he was supposed to be playing Miles Morales' uncle, who turns out to be the Prowler, et cetera, because he aged out of he was already too old to play Miles. But anyway, and then they didn't do anything with his character for one reason or the other, probably because of licensing things. But that means he's worked with John Watts before, and Lando is another character that he has not been given justice for to come back. And I was like, maybe John Watts will be like, hey, we can't do Spider-Man, but you want to come do Lando? And I'm sorry for getting your hopes up, Kris. That's totally my bad.
I'm in mourning again.
I believe I'm in your corner.
We all back
get
you up.
it.
Don't worry. He'll show up at some point.
We're going to CGI DH Luke so women could see a true Jedi. That, I don't know about that.
When the ship showed up at the end, I thought someone was gonna get off.
I agree. I thought that we were gonna get a very last second
And so-
cameo, and I'm kind of glad we did not.
When it ended, I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, okay, it's over."
Ezra just shows up. Hey, let
Hey
me
guys,
join the best lineage of Jedi, the Mace Windu line.
Yeah. Jod's connections to the criminal underworld is fun not to bring back. Too fun not to bring back. Oh, Jod working for Boba.
Oh, I like that.
I feel like
I
Boba
like
would kill him.
it.
Jod would try to mutiny, and then Boba would be like, "I'm not having any of that."
Or we know that apparently Rada the Hutt is going to be in the Mandalorian movie, and I feel like
What if he's
Jod-
protecting Rada?
he's.
Oh my god!
I love all of the bear memes that people are making.
Oh my god! Like that one
It's
that I
so
sent you
good.
of
Yeah.
Jabba Rada in the kitchen.
Or just the shut the fuck up.
Oh my god!
Disney movie.
Oh, it's so good.
One of the things, this just reminded me of it somehow. One of the things that I said during the episode that made me cackle was when all the pirates were coming down like to Aden, and it was like the coloring and everything. It looked like the scene in Chicken Little when all of the aliens come down. The colors and everything. Like, I'm not kidding, the entire thing. It looked exactly like that. And I used to be so scared of those things as a kid. So I was dying laughing because it was like perfect. The red lights and everything.
Oh, that also reminds me of the Jimmy Neutron movie,
Yes.
which also has very similar vibes.
Yes.
That just came to me. Man, feel old.
So good.
Yeah, Katrina, I was waiting for the shot where they would, go up a ramp and then they would all go across the moon, and it did.
Yeah.
But, I saw the ET vibes. I saw the vision.
Yeah.
I loved that the speeder bikes still worked after all the power to everything else went out.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Also,
Very,
that
like,
scene was just
kid-like.
really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like riding around in the dark like that would be so fun. Like you're the
See-
only people that can drive.
See, that could be like a little ride at Disney, like they do the Avatar Flight of Passage one, and you got indoor, you got pod racing, you got this now. Like you can do it. You got the same technology.
Oh, the pod racing would be really cool.
Considering Disney likes copying, that's why the or the Mickey and Minnie's ride is the same as the Rise of the Resistance. Like just copy and paste.
I'm hoping that they add something Skeleton Crew to Star Tours. I am holding out hope.
So I would say by a year from now, maybe middle of 2026.
Because it's like a perfect recipe for it.
Well, honestly, we got the Ahsoka ones not that long. Not like it didn't take too long after Ahsoka aired for it to come to the parks. So
to get the
we could be even sooner than that.
I think they have to decide whether they're bringing the kids back, and if they are doing it like, have them be like a little bit older, and then just be like, Star Tours, what are you doing on that? And that kind of thing.
I agree.
Yeah, Window earned that W in his name.
Yes,
he really did.
Just when he balled up his fist, I'm like, what's he about to do? Is he about to use the Force? Because one of my coworkers had said since episode 1, he's like, he's a Jedi the whole time, and I was just like, all right, maybe he's right. And then he just cold cocked me. I'm like, you know what? Respect. Why use the Force when you got hands?
It's so true. I know. I literally wrote down, I said Wendell redemption arc. Because in the beginning of the episode he was kind of making me upset, and I was like, come on, Wendell, I know you can do it. And then he finally he got there, and I said, let's go.
Yeah, that was I liked seeing his Wendell and Wendell. What does that sound like? That sounds like something.
It sounds like a candle brand.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. Anyway, I was like, that sounds like something 80s, maybe. No, I feel like it's a candle.
And then Fern and Farrah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody's names kind of like echo each other.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I like that.
But what I was
don't
gonna
remember Neil's
say
parents' name.
is wait, I think it also serves as a way to explain how the new Republic. Yes, I was thinking that, and I saw somewhere else that, which I don't think is makes sense anymore, but it could. I don't know. That this is how like Palpatine was able to build a whole fleet on Exegol.
That's what we talked about too. Was that the great work has possibly something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need someone to take that picture of Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, where Dwayne Wade throws him up the alley-oop, and put Wim and KB's face on them respectively, because they crushed it. Neil with the big gun and KB getting the ship up there, like.
Or like that meme with the guy with the grave, and he's like,
yes.
Oh yeah.
From Flash.
Yes.
They're all like,
yeah. That one.
It still makes me laugh that Stephen Amell gets pissed at that photo, so that's why I just keep sharing it. It's hilarious.
Katrina's comment.
did I do that?
He had to go fast. For those that don't know, Jaleel White played Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991 to 1993 in the animated TV show. Okay.
Thank you for that trivia.
Much appreciated.
That is so funny. New Republic and the remnants of the Empire can easily use AT-AT. Yeah, I'm like, where do we go from here? The barrier has been destroyed. The New Republic is now, they've gotten the coordinates to AT-AT.
And the supervisor is gone too.
And the supervisor is no longer. So does anyone what would you want to see next if we were to get more from this story?
Are those other planets actually destroyed? Because we know Akron is, and they can eventually go get New Republic help. But what about the other ones? We assume they are, but maybe they're not. And then that can definitely fund something, or I don't know. I think this story has a lot of possibilities in the future, but also in the past.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to see more answers on like just everything having to do with how the planet came to be, and maybe finding out exactly who was benefiting from the work that they were doing and what kind of work they were doing. Because they talk about the mint, but they never fully specify like what everyone else is doing, because they're all like analysts and things like that, like we've talked about in previous episodes. But they never fully get into it, and so I'm curious what they actually were doing this whole time.
I have to imagine that they all were mints. And I want to say that the only reason why it was so full was because an emissary hadn't come in so long.
Oh,
Because,
uh-huh.
and now I thought it would have been like 1,000 years, because they said the old republic, or they were referring to the republic, but they meant the old republic. But it turns out the supervisor did know. So that's why I asked, did like the Empire send any emissaries? Because if not, then that would be like 25 to 30 years of just making mint and keep minting them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say even one planet wouldn't be enough to fund the whole republic if they're all using the same currency and then they're adding more. So I would say they probably all were.
Makes sense. Yeah. The story of Tacran. Yeah.
Where the
Actually,
heck
I
did
would
he get
love
the
to
lightsaber?
see. Where did he get the lightsaber? Is it a High Republic lightsaber? That I would like to know. The
For
others
him to
kept
be
other resources.
such a legend, I feel like he has to at least be like 100 or 200 years old for it to be a myth and there to be a whole shanty about, which I was a little disappointed in these last days of TikTok. We didn't get together and all like do a duet chain singing the shanty.
Oh, which I found out, I saw somewhere that Jude Law was the one that came up with singing it. Apparently, it was originally just like a poem.
Oh,
That's cool.
Thanks, Betsy.
And Jude Law was like, "What if we sang it like a shanty?" So
What a guy.
big W for him.
Huge.
Anyone else have any other like thoughts? What about, I guess, the show as a whole, the episode as a whole? What you would want to see next? What you are, I don't know, any criticisms that you could put out there?
We didn't even talk about SM33.
oh my god!
That was like, Smee's back. I literally was so excited as soon as she came around the corner with him. I was like, my man.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah,
So
last
happy.
week
the
when he
new
got his head cut
supervisor.
off. He could be. Last week he got his head cut off. I was like, there's no way he's dead. I was like, they can't
Yeah, I
kill
was
our
like,
boy off.
Troy.
You can't take our
can't
boy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
One of his better,
landing.
another happy landing.
I saw a theory and earlier today, and I shared it with Brooke before we did our reaction, that someone said that the little mouse thing that lives in Smee's head is actually Tacrinid, and that it
Oh my god.
that's why it stays with Smee, because it no longer has access to like really talk outside of Smee, and their evidence was like, okay, so every time Smee listens to one of the kids, he like kind of hesitates, and so that could be like the little mouse thing saying like, okay, do this or don't do this or whatever.
This fandom is a prison.
Terrible place to be.
I said it was a Ratatouille.
He just controls everything and he's like his little puppet.
Literally
Yes.
his mech suit.
I saw.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to read Katrina's comment that I like that idea. That
Oh.
the New Republic never got the mint, and maybe it goes to the First Order.
Or they
Okay.
run out because they use
That's
so
true.
much of it trying to rebuild planets desolated or decimated by the Empire, and then obviously bureaucracy and embezzlement and all that could definitely happen. But yeah, or it's just one of those things where, hey, we have this convenient thing that we didn't think of like 10 years ago, so we'll find a way to unexplain it later.
That's something I'd like to learn more about in Star Wars is like why the New Republic failed so quickly.
So many reasons.
Yeah. But I would love if they explored that more in like more than just the books and stuff.
Kitty,
She's here. She
and
keeps
give us a
smiling.
New Republic Constitution so I can do some legal analysis. Dang it.
Sorry, what were you gonna say earlier?
Oh, I was just gonna say, someone on Twitter this morning tweeted something that was like, imagine that the end of Skeleton Crew is Grogu turning off the TV and it was all a show.
Oh my
And
god!
I was like,
Love it, it's
just
a very-
because we were looking for a connection to the rest of the Mandoverse, I was like, what if? What if?
No, that's a
our
Marvel
connection.
show.
It's that like it shows all of Wim's stories, and then you get to the last one, it's a slide of like the Skeleton Crew, and then it like zooms out and you see it's Wim's little storybook iPad thingy, and then it turns off. So it's kind of similar to that. It's just not Grogu turning it off.
I don't think Din would let Grogu watch TV.
I don't even think they could afford TV if we're being honest.
Yeah, that too.
What, yeah, they saving up all their money for the new Razor Crest.
Yeah.
To probably get
They need a
destroyed.
little bit more space. They need a bathroom.
What is?
Listen, we got to get back to those YN fics. Where is YN going to sleep in that tiny ship? Nowhere.
Never mind. This is a family-friendly show.
Yes, but also that would get really uncomfortable after a while. Okay, it's not all space.
Grogu is not an iPad baby.
Okay, we can't say
Din
it's
would
too
make
violent
sure.
for Grogu when he's been force choking folks since he as a toddler.
Pushing them against walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like almost choked Cara Dune. Like he's fine. He's
It's
And I
fine.
quote
Don't
from
worry
the
about
show, he's seen worse.
That's also true.
Also, I'll say this: if you're watching on my channel, hop over to Yap Session Stream and subscribe to them if you aren't
And
already.
vice versa. I'm looking at my notes to make sure we didn't miss anything. We did get a "You're No Jedi" line, which I liked. It was like just enough like callbacks to other things, and like it was a big nostalgia bait, but not like Star Wars nostalgia like it was in The Mandalorian with like Luke and R2. Even though I
Yeah.
love those things in small doses, then if it becomes too much, then it's not like special anymore. So I love that they like played on people's nostalgia, but in a different way.
I agree.
Yeah, I pitched the next Star Wars nostalgia show to be, tackle the 90s and give me Star Wars, but 3 ninjas. So you'll have, a Jedi that retired. He's old, man. He's, his grandfather settled down on a planet. You get 3 force sensitive grandkids. And then, their dad doesn't believe in the Jedi and is, and so then he, the grandfather trains them in the ways of the Force and they got to go, beat up some gangsters or something like that.
I think that's a perfect. I think you should go to Lucasfilm and pitch that tomorrow.
Hire me.
That actually does remind me, there were a couple of like Star Wars news things that I'd love to talk about before we wrap up. I don't know if it's been officially confirmed, but it was reported that the actor, hold on.
I'm holding.
What
is his name? Hold on.
Holding on for dear life.
It was reported that Rory McCann has been recast as Balin Skull, who is more known as the Hound in Game of Thrones. which I kind of dig.
Yeah.
I like
feel
him
like
a
that's
lot.
a good fit.
That's a character that you have to recast. The story, it would be very difficult for the story to go on if you did not have Balin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember when people were knocking around the
Agreed.
guy that played Rory in the Arrowverse, since he replaced Ray Stevenson in the movie that he was filming when he died. And I was like, I don't know what character he's playing in that movie, but he could not be Balin Skull.
No.
True.
Yeah, I think that's a good recast.
Yeah, the Hound with a lightsaber. I feel like there was like one other Star Wars thing that
I saw
Ray
someone
Stevenson
knocking
has
around
influence.
talking about leaks about the Mando and Grogu movie, but I'm just
Yeah, I
like,
saw
I'm
that.
ignoring all those.
Mhm.
I learned my
Liv
lesson with
Schreiber.
leaks when it came to the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted Liv Schreiber to be because they look very similar, but I feel like Liv Schreiber's too expensive.
I don't think he is.
Not anymore, I guess.
anymore.
He was like
Yeah.
not as relevant. I like his brother, his
His
half brother, Master Chief, Pablo Schreiber.
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
from the movie, or I mean the TV show?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not the boy, the one from the show, but he
Yeah.
also is in. This is a random tangent. The Den of Thieves 2 just came out, and my boyfriend's
Oh.
obsessed with. He loves the first movie that Pablo Schreiber is in, and so we went to see the sequel, and it rocked. It was like it's gonna
Hell
be
yeah.
like a Fast and Furious franchise where it just keeps getting like bigger and more ridiculous, and it's fine. I need like 14 of them. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Yes, thank you, Matt. There was the rumors that Ewan McGregor was gonna be in the next season of Ahsoka with
Ah.
Lindsay
Oh,
flashback.
interesting.
I feel like it's okay. I need all three of them, right? And I don't know if y'all ever saw that like that comic, that fan made comic where it's like Ahsoka first talks to she first meets Luke and then talks to Force Ghost Anakin, and she rips him a new one as deserved. And then, you know, she cries, and then everybody's like, you can't end the comic there. And then she was, the artist drew another panel. It's like, see, no, they all worked it out. And it's her, Kenobi, Anakin, and Luke all sitting around a campfire. Like, give me that. But also have Obi-Wan apologize for what happened during the trial, because he never apologized. And my girl deserves that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Ahsoka needed an attorney during that trial. I love Padme, but they made Padme look like an idiot in that, and I will not stand for either of them. And yeah, that trial was a sham trial, kangaroo court, and I will rant about it.
On YouTube video.
Investigating more. Yeah, I think that would be. I mean, Ahsoka was already like kind of chock full of other Star Wars things, like Rebel. It's basically like a sequel to Rebels.
Yeah.
But in live action. So I think that it would make sense if they did some more Clone Wars things. And I think I saw somebody online say like, you know, we only have Ewan McGregor around for so long before he becomes like too old. Although Alec Guinness did not look how old Obi-Wan Kenobi was actually supposed to be. I think Ewan is closer in age to how old he was supposed to be. So I wouldn't be upset by that if he came back in.
I
That would be
agree.
one that I'm cool with.
I'm just skeptical until we actually get it, though. All, if not most of the leaks for Mandalorian season 2 were correct, but then there's just been like a lot of wild leaks recently about things. Like there's been a rumor that there's going to be like a Cal Kestis TV show, which I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. Just some other just wild leaks that have been going around. So I'm like, or not to bring that one up again, but when everybody was like, oh yeah, the Rey Skywalker movie is tanked, like just I feel like the rumors right now are just everywhere. So I will believe it whenever I see it happen.
It's whenever it's a
about the Lando movie.
Yeah, whenever it's like a slow time in Star Wars, like that's why I'll say it here live in front of everybody. When we started Yap Sesh, I was like, I don't want to be a Star Wars show. Because a lot of Star Wars podcasts or like Star Wars news outlets turn things that wouldn't normally be headlines into headlines because they have nothing
Mhm.
else to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how like people get up in arms about XYZ because somebody brought it up because they saw it and they needed something to post about or report on. And then it becomes a whole big thing. Anyway, just saying. Not everybody does that, but a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We're like onions. We got layers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're ogres, you're saying.
Yeah, from a certain point of view.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we have left, but I did want to point out or highlight a little bit. It's something that I've talked about a couple times, but what I loved about this show is that you can look at it from the perspective of if you're a child watching it or the perspective of us. I know, I can't believe we're adults, right? From adults watching it. But the show really explores what it's like for a child's innocence to be taken away, which is a really formative moment in all children's lives. And so some children, obviously, they have it at different ages or via different experiences, but they're having this adventure that's also scary. And they have this person like Jod who ends up being the bad guy, which I mean, I would argue is the bad guy in their perspective. And it's showing how do these kids navigate and learn how to realize that, hey, the world's a lot scarier than what we perceived it to be when we live in our suburbs. And the other really big important thing that they highlight is when you're a small child and you see an adult, you automatically think they're an adult so they can help me. And not every adult wants to help you. We even get tricked. I got a little bit tricked into thinking that maybe Jod wanted to help the kids. And I think there are certain aspects and times when he did, but it was for his own gain and for his own end. And so towards the end, especially, Jod does not want to help the children. He's not interested in their safety or them thriving or anything like that. He is interested in his specific goal. And the kids have to learn that super important lesson that not every adult is for you, not every adult is safe. And just because you're a lost child or you need help does not mean that every adult can or should help you. And so it's interesting to see it as an adult watching it, but it's also like as a child, if you're watching it, learning that a lesson in an area that's a safe space that you can watch other kids go through it without having to experience it yourself necessarily. And I think shows like that are super important. And we don't get a lot of that now.
I talked about this last week or the week before where I think it was last week where we talked about how much we can learn from kids. And like what Matt just said in the chat, like there are so many things that like we as adults are like, oh, we're the adult, we are in charge, like we know more. But there's something so innocent and like special about some of the things that kids can teach you. And like I used to be a camp counselor, and I know that like Brooke has worked with kids, and like we all have experience in that kind of realm. And there are so many things that I learned about myself and about other people by working with kids, because kids are so willing to just be honest, and they have nothing to gain by not being honest. Like the only reason that they lie is over silly things that like you're like, why are you lying about that? But when it comes to like the important stuff, they don't lie because there's nothing that they can gain other than like not trusting someone. And so it's just it's cool to have a show like this and be able to see it like as an adult and realize how much I can still learn from kids. Like there's so many things in the show that I was like, dang, like that's a really good reminder of like things when I was a kid that I forgot, you know. And I just love that. I'm really glad that they did it.
I was really blown away by the episode. I'm trying to remember the number of the episode. It might have been 6, where KB talks about her disabilities. And it's a really important topic because a lot of times in children's media, when they'll talk about kids' disabilities, it will be like, oh, you have these superpowers, or like you've gone through this experience, like it sugarcoats it. When for many of these kids, it's not a sugar-coated reality. They're having to learn something that their peers are not necessarily on the same plane with them, in that they can't do the same things, but then they have to pretend like KB that they can, so that way they can keep their friends, so they can keep in community. And I just love that they explicitly were like, I cannot do the things that I used to do before I became disabled. And then showing these kids build community together and communicate with one another. Hey, these are KB's needs. You need to respect those needs. and then we can figure out other ways to make sure that she's involved, and also showing that Katie is still able to do things that are helpful to the team, that are supporting the team. She just can't do everything like climb up something that's really tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really loved that. And I loved the moment with Fern talking about, everything that they've seen, that there's still good people in the world.
Oh
I
yeah.
love
Um,
that.
And I think that is something that the kids in the show took away, but also is something that the kids that are watching can take away. Like, you have to be like a little guarded with anybody, because not everybody is trustworthy, but there are still always going to be good people out there.
Yeah.
What I like too is that it shows it's more of like not a mature show, but like it's mature in the writing, in that you didn't automatically make Jod have this heroic comeback or make this like heel turn decision. Jod remained bad. He might later have some kind of arc if he appears again, but I really like that they stood their ground with it and they didn't like cheapen out and be like, oh, like he was changed by the kids, because in real life that's not likely to happen if you have these long held beliefs like he does. And maybe I'm going too deep for a children's show, but if you have these long held beliefs like Jod does, where like his perception of the world is, I am a survivor, I have to get through this, it's going to be difficult for him to fully change gears. You can see the gears turning a little bit in him, even in this episode, but it's going to take a lot before he's going to have that heel turn. So it's something similar to Ventress that someone else brought up earlier, where Ventress's turn to the light is a long progression and it's not just an immediate thing.
Ooh, hard agree. There is, yes.
Oh,
I
boy.
went to a seminar one time for teaching stuff, and it was a lot of things about working with kids who are like on the spectrum or with disabilities. And one of the teachers stood up, and it was like, oh, we have to remember not to call somebody autistic. They are a person with autism. And I was just like, brother, give me a break. Like, I could tell that it was like one of those, hashtag autism moms or whatever, that was just like saying stuff. I don't know. Because personally for me, it's like, it affects every part of who I am and my identity. So I don't mind using it as a label, not just a condition or diagnosis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a little tangent. There.
Yeah.
Good tangent.
They brought up Mr. Rogers. Wait, they did? In the
I
show?
feel like I remember seeing about that, but I can't remember where.
It was in an interview, I think.
Oh.
The showrunners talked about it, I'm pretty sure, at one point. And I don't remember where, but I remember hearing about it.
I did go on a yap sesh. That is what we are about here in this house.
We love to yap.
We do love to yap.
Yep.
Wim is a Jedi at heart. I know Kris kept being like, Wim, use the Force. Wim, use the Force.
Dude, I had that feeling. I was like, is he gonna reach out and then like pull the lever? I would have died. That would have been crazy.
We missed a perfect opportunity during our reaction to say, pull the lever, crunk.
Oh.
Damn.
I think
would've
that's
been
just
good.
gonna be the name of the title of our reaction.
There you
I think
go.
That's
Make up
good.
for it.
Yeah. Cool.
Rest in peace, Eartha Kitt.
Well, we're running on 11:30 for us on the East Coast. I think we're all East Coast.
Yeah.
No, I'm
I'm a little
there.
EP after work tomorrow.
Oh, Central.
Mhm.
Well, it's still pretty late. So I think we'll end it here. But we'll go around one more time. Last thoughts and where we can find you all and your awesome content. And we'll just go around the circle here and start with Kris.
Oh, you gotta start with the old man. I see how it is. It's past my bedtime.
Oh my god. We were talking about Kris
Back
texted
to
me and
bed,
was
old
like,
man.
Kris texted me earlier and was like, because I'm the oldest in this panel, am I the Jod? And then I was trying to figure out who everybody else here would be.
Who did you assign us? You got to tell us now.
Well, I said that Meg's is Neil because of
Yeah.
the fit and the vibes. But everybody else was hard. I like I couldn't come up with a consensus about the other three. I feel like maybe I'm a whim because I yap a lot.
I would agree.
Anyway, another tangent. Kris, where's your stuff?
I am Star Wars Lawyer on all the things. I'm Star Wars Lawyer on Blue Sky too, but they add all that extra stuff in there. Just search Star Wars Lawyer, you'll find me. Google Star Wars Lawyer, you'll find me wherever. And yeah, I very much enjoyed the show. I love sort of making Star Wars, expanding what Star Wars is while still keeping it true to what it is, and I enjoy Skeleton Crew, and I'm excited to see where these characters go from here, and also like if they want to give us some things in the past, like how we got here. I'm for it.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. I'm Sawyerism. You can find me on everything that is known to man. I think I have every social media platform that exists with that username. So, yeah, that's me. And I also loved this show. It brought so much whimsy and nostalgia to Star Wars, and it made me feel like a kid again. And I think we can all agree. And you know what? I can co-sign that. I can co-sign
I rock with that.
Yeah, this was so much fun, and I'm sad it's over.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm Megs. I am at Megalorian on pretty much everything. You can also find me on Twitch at Megs because I managed to get that username. Don't know how.
When I saw your link, I was like, oh, because when it takes when you click on a link in Instagram, it takes you through the app, and then I was like, wait, let me find them on my Twitch app, and I was like, is it really just Megs?
Yeah,
So,
I don't know how I snatched that, but it's like the coolest thing ever, and I'm very impressed with myself. You just have to add an I and everything, so MEIGS, MEIG Lorian, I yap a lot. I talk a lot about my favorite things like D&D and Star Wars and all of that. So, and The Last of Us. Oh my god, talk about The Last of Us way too much.
Oh my god, everybody drink! I wasn't the one that brought it up. I think this is the first that I was not the person on the show to talk about The Last of Us first.
It was me.
Shameless plug. Megs is coming back as our guest co-host when we do our re-apps for all of The Last of Us Season 2.
Yay!
That'll be coming in April.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I can do reactions to that. I don't know if I would be able to do it.
I'm absolutely not doing.
I'm gonna have a breakdown.
I have watch parties with my friends. Because I want my friends to. I want to watch their reactions. Like I'd rather them watch their reactions than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you see? This has nothing to do with Star Wars. But I think I sandwiched it in between a series of other messages to you, Brooke. But did you see that screenshot I sent you of Hannah telling me that she couldn't bring herself to finish The Last of Us because the gay guy episode was too good?
Yes.
She was like, the gay guy episode was too perfect. How can I continue?
Oh, it's so good.
But yeah,
anyway,
I loved Yap and I loved Skeleton Crew so much. I was a very big promoter of it very early, and so I'm glad that it ended up being as amazing, and I'm so glad that everyone loved it because I was very excited about the show, and I'm really glad that it lived up to what I wanted it to be. So I'm glad that we all can connect and talk about it in the way that we have.
Me too. Brooke, how about you?
Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm Ocean Philly on the other Brooke. I'm Ocean Philly across all platforms. You can find me at all of them. Hopefully, maybe TikTok won't get banned, but we'll find out. But I'm on all of the things. I don't know how I'll make content if the ban does happen, but I will find ways.
Life
we'll make it together.
Finds a way.
Yes.
Life finds a way.
And I am also Brooke. And you can find me at _bedazzler_ on most platforms. Sometimes I stream on Twitch. I am B__dazzler there. I will be streaming on Thursday. Everybody drink because
Woohoo.
I'm gonna talk about The Last of Us. I'm in a Last of Us permadeath tournament. And I have to record my attempts, which means like you can't die the entire game or the entire game starts over. Too Brooke, Too Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious is the best Fast and Furious movie. I
haven't
will
seen
not
them.
elaborate or argue.
I'm sorry, that gets eliminated by Paul Walker says, "Don't worry about it, cuh." That eliminates it from contention.
Listen, Darth Taco would back me up on this. I know he loves that one too. But anyway, please also check out Yap Sesh Pod. We have new episodes usually every week. And check out our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts, and it'll be a good time. We like to yap like this. If you want some tangents with some actual topics sprinkled in, you're in the right place. But
Great
I think
when
that's
you're
about
low.
it. Yes, I think that's about it. So thank you guys all so much for being here, and this was super fun. And yeah,
We'll yap with you later.
we'll yap
and,
with you later.
and I
Yap you
will
later.
lay in this this plug. The next episode of the There Are More of Us show features TC Carson, aka the voice of Mace Windu.
Cool. That's awesome.
Sick.
Take care,
Cool.
everybody.
Bye.
There are more of us.
Ba-bam.